But keep in mind, just because we're in oversold territories right now, that does not mean that we're at the bottom for the correction. That just means that we're potentially at a bottom and we could be due for a little bit of a bounce here. Because for example, if you're looking at the entire correction that we saw during September, there was actually 2 times during that same correction that we entered into oversold territories on the 4-hour RSI. And so obviously that first time wasn't the bottom for this correction because the price ended up forming a lower low later on. So quite possibly over the next 1 to 2 days, I would expect some sort of bounce here for Ethereum, not necessarily a full recovery because once again, this does not mark the bottom, but it does give us a short-term buying opportunity like back here, for example. The most likely scenario for Ethereum over the next few days is simply sideways consolidation just based off this last correction. So this upcoming sideways consolidation could last for just a few days, but possibly up towards around a week in length. But if we continue to play out this correction like what we saw back in September, then Ethereum could be due for one more bearish move to the downside within about 1 to 2 weeks from now before we finally start recovering again for Ethereum. Personally, I'm not going extremely heavy into Ethereum just yet, just in case we do play out one more leg to the downside before then we bottom out. And so because that's technically still a possibility, I just want to make sure that I'll be in a position to take that opportunity if that actually plays out. It is still possible for Ethereum to potentially have one more leg to the downside before then we bottom out and get ready for more bullish price action later on after seeing a bounce towards the 120-day SMA. So this tells us that potentially very soon, possibly over the next few days, we could be due to see the next move happen for Ethereum. We are looking a little bit more bearish here. And also when you're simply comparing this correction to the September correction, once again, we could be due for that one more move to the downside like what we saw last time, down towards the 120-day simple moving average, once again at around 3.6 to 3.7 thousand. Welcome back to the Crypto World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now Ethereum has ended up playing out that second leg to the downside that we have been discussing for the past 3 weeks. In just a moment, I'll be talking about whether or not this is now the bottom for this correction, or if Ethereum is still about to experience more bearish price action. I'll also be comparing the 2021 bull market to the 2017 bull market, and I'll be looking at the huge breakout for Ethereum valued against Bitcoin, looking at the altcoin season moving forward. Definitely make sure you're watching this video all the way to the end so that you're not missing out on any of this valuable information. And just before we jump into it, make sure to leave a like down below. And if you're new to the channel, you might as well subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. But with all of that out of the way, let's get straight into what this video is about. So right here, we're on the Ethereum to US dollar chart on the 12-hour time frame. And as you just saw in the intro of this video, over the past 3 weeks approximately, we have been talking about the strong possibility and in fact the most likely scenario for Ethereum simply playing out this correction like the September correction with a 2-stage dump. I'm sure I don't need to explain that anymore. The subscribers that have been watching over the past few weeks would already know what I'm talking about. But yeah, as of right now, we have come back down towards the 120-day simple moving average, which was coming in at around 3.7k, and we did actually see a quick wick below that level, but that immediately got bought right back up, which showed us that there are a lot of buyers down at these lower prices, which is obviously acting as major support for the price of Ethereum, at least in the shorter term. And as of right now, at the time of filming this video, Ethereum has bounced back up to the same sort of levels that we were at around a week ago. So of course, things can change, but as of right now, once again, this dump to the downside has only erased 1 week worth of gains. And believe it or not, we do have some bullish signs showing for Ethereum that usually come into play anytime we see a market bottom. The first and most obvious sign is the huge wick to the downside that we've just formed. Now, that alone doesn't necessarily confirm the exact bottom. For example, we saw that same sort of thing during the middle of the September correction. So even though that was a bottom that held for around a week and a half, once again, it wasn't the bottom for the correction. But zooming out further on the chart and taking a look at the crash that happened during May, the bottom of that crash was marked by 2 major wicks to the downside, which obviously at that point was a bullish signal for Ethereum, showing us that we are running into major supports. Because anytime we see huge wicks like this, all that means for Ethereum is basically we've got a lot of buyers down at those levels. And so it would be very difficult for Ethereum to push down below those levels, at least in the immediate short term. So honestly, as of right now, I would expect some sort of sideways consolidation or perhaps a slight bounce back to the upside, at least for a little while longer. But honestly, this does have a high probability of being the bottom for this correction, but also that does depend on what Bitcoin and the stock market is doing. And I'll talk more about that in my Bitcoin update video. So if you missed that one, definitely check out my Bitcoin video that I posted on my channel after you finish watching this video, of course. Another bullish sign that is showing right now on the Ethereum chart is, of course, a huge bullish divergence. We have formed lower lows in the price, but higher lows in the RSI on the 12-hour chart. So once again, that's a bullish divergence. And what it basically means is that the bears are losing steam in the immediate short term. And so Ethereum is due to have reduced selling pressure in the shorter term, which basically means the most likely scenario from where we are right now is some sort of sideways consolidation or a slight bounce back to the upside. But honestly, I don't expect an extremely fast recovery. It could take some time. And in terms of the possible length of the recovery, I'll talk about that once again in my Bitcoin update video. So definitely check that one out. Zooming into the 4-hour time frame for Ethereum, taking a look at this chart just here. Of course, Ethereum was holding below this line of resistance just here for quite some time. And then we broke back above this line of resistance and flipped it into support in the immediate short term. And at that stage right there, over the past 1 to 2 days, I was basically letting you know that for as long as Ethereum is holding above this exact level, we are looking really good here, especially if Ethereum can continue with this bounce to the upside. But I let you know yesterday that Ethereum needs to hold above this exact level just here, coming in close to 4.4K in order for Ethereum to remain bullish in the shorter term, because I was letting you know the moment we start breaking below support just here, then after we go below that level, that is when the bearish price action is going to begin kicking in. And so obviously Ethereum heavily respected that level just there. The moment we lost that level of support, the price of Ethereum immediately started dumping to the downside straight into these other levels of support that I have been mentioning. And right now on this 4-hour chart, looking in the RSI, we have now seen 2 points during this correction where the RSI on the 4-hour chart has hit oversold territories, just like what we saw back in the September correction. So this is yet another sign on the chart showing us that we are due for at least a sideways consolidation or perhaps a slight bounce back to the upside in the immediate short term. But how these corrections almost always play out, obviously we have the initial dump to the downside, and then we have an automatic reaction back to the upside, and then we will come back down to form some sort of low again, and obviously forming a higher low above the bottom of this wick. That would be bullish market structure forming. But if the next low is a lower low again on the 4-hour chart, then in that case, the only bullish thing about that is if the RSI forms a bullish divergence. But yeah, right now, Ethereum is basically going through a phase in the immediate short term where it will begin to stabilize, it will begin to form its next low. But yeah, as I said earlier, this correction is still looking very similar to the September correction. Now zooming out to the daily time frame for Ethereum and bringing out this chart just here, the candlesticks is the current price action for Ethereum, and the green bars just here, that is the 2017 price action for Ethereum. So this chart basically compares the current bull markets to the previous bull markets. And earlier this year, the price of Ethereum was following along with the previous bull market extremely closely up until around the beginning of October, which was the first time this bull market finally started diverging away from the previous bull markets. And I let you know on the channel a few weeks ago, all the way back up here, that Ethereum for this bull market is actually ahead of schedule. And one of the most likely scenarios for Ethereum is we could see a bit of a cool off moving forward to come back down and meet the 2017 bull market. And then once Ethereum does that, once we experience that bearish price action to put us back on track with the last bull market, then we could start experiencing some more gains for Ethereum kicking in over the next few months. In fact, I'll just play a quick clip of one of the videos that I posted right back here. So I've been letting you know over the past few days that right now Ethereum is ahead of schedule for this bull cycle. And I've been saying out of all of the possibilities for Ethereum, one of the most likely scenarios is Ethereum has a bit of a cool off here to come back and meet the 2017 bull market again. So the most bearish scenario is if we see a bit more of a pullback to the downside towards the lower $3,000 prices, and then some huge gains start kicking in after that. So as you just saw, this correction in Ethereum was one of the more likely possibilities. But when you're talking about the longer term trend for Ethereum and the current bull market that we are in, despite the recent crash in Ethereum, we are still forming higher lows on the daily chart and higher highs, and we are still perfectly on track. In fact, right now, we are still ahead of the 2017 bull market. So when talking about the longer term over the next few months or so, I am leaning more bullish, but also that does depend on what Bitcoin is doing. So once again, definitely make sure you're checking out my Bitcoin update video. And speaking about Ethereum and Bitcoin, here is the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart on the daily time frame. And right now we are experiencing a breakout to the upside. So yes, believe it or not, Ethereum is bullish against Bitcoin. And I've been saying over the past couple of days that Ethereum is looking really good here against Bitcoin. And this is exactly the type of price action that we see in more of an altcoin season. As I mentioned yesterday on the channel, an altcoin season is basically just when the altcoins are beginning to outperform Bitcoin, exactly like what Ethereum is doing right now, which technically speaking is the biggest altcoin out there. And just before the crash of the downside, I did post this tweet saying that Ethereum is looking really strong. And then a few hours later, I got a lot of replies saying that I'm completely wrong. But no, I'm telling you right now, Ethereum is relatively looking really strong right now. And that is proven with the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart breaking out to the upside with a successful retest here. And the technical price target for this breakout is coming in towards 0.1 Bitcoin per Ethereum. But keep in mind, it is quite unlikely we'll play out that move all in one go. So if we begin to see some short-term cool-offs along the way, that is perfectly normal. And that price target only becomes invalidated if we break back below this importance line of supports coming in at around 0.077 Bitcoin per Ethereum. And if you want to get extra updates throughout the day in real time on Ethereum and the rest of the crypto markets, definitely make sure you here, follow me over on my Twitter, and the link to my official Twitter account is in the description down below and also in the pinned comments. And seriously, especially when the markets are this volatile, it is important to stay up to date over on my Twitter. And if you enjoyed this video or got something valuable out of it, please make sure to leave a like down below. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. And before we click off, make sure you're checking out one of these uploads if you haven't already. I've got a trading tutorial video and a passive income video showing you how I earn passive income every day in the crypto markets. And as always, I really do appreciate all of you supporting the channel at the moment. I can't thank you guys enough. But anyway, that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next video.